Hey everyone, how is it going? We are here. This is probably not going to be a post-mortgage challenge. This is going to be more of an update, I guess. We're going to do a small update and look at how this past week was in terms of real estate. So for those of you who are aware, this past week the entire south of the United States was in an extreme storm, winter storm for lack of better words. Extreme for us, but very regular to most that are very familiar with snow. So definitely not something, at least for the majority of people, would say we have to freak out for. But at the same time, it has been almost 100 years since something of this magnitude existed in San Antonio and had such a huge impact. So with that in mind, I want to show you guys with the utmost transparency what has happened with the real estate market in this past week in general, okay? So without further ado, I'm going to get right into it. This is not going to be a long video. It's going to be a very simple video, but it's going to be a very informative video. So I already kind of started messing around with some of my searches. So before I get into anything else, this is the MLS. This is the multiple listing service. This is the service that I have access to as a real estate agent. I am able to show you through the MLS what is exactly on the market. So as you can see here, these are exact numbers. So for example, if you had to compare something like this, the MLS, to a Zillow, the Zillow database is actually funneled from the MLS. So when something goes on the MLS, it also goes on Zillow. But the difference that the MLS makes from Zillow is that Zillow is potentially delayed. So if a property came on the market, in one day, you as a buyer may not see that property until maybe a day or two after it's been on the market. So there is a high advantage to having the MLS because this is a program as a whole through realtors, through real estate agents, everyone uses. So with that said, let's go into some details. So right now, to take off all of my filters, and I like using the map because it looks cool and it gives kind of a concept. So for the majority part, as you can see, all of these, there's not exactly 4,771 properties I can see, but this is the majority of where the concentration is going to be at. So of course you have the majority of properties existing in the San Antonio area, then of course leading out side of that into the other areas like Kerrville, Bernie, closer, not really Corpus Christi a lot, but there are some properties that are listed on my version of the MLS, so that way they get more exposure. Nevertheless, this is a little bit of what it's going to look like. And right now, to give you guys a small input of how this has gone, 2 weeks ago, before snowstorms, we were at 5,000 units. I use that number as a benchmark because this shows who's listing and who wants to list right now. And so far we have about almost a 200 unit decrease, a little bit over 200 unit decrease from 2 weeks ago to now. As you can see up here where we had about 5,000 units 2 weeks ago, now we're at 4,771. So that's what happens when snow exists. We can't get out, we can't put listings up, so the amount of units decrease. Makes sense. Now, one thing I will have to include here, which it looks like I have not included, is the active option. So in this past winter season, we have experienced the most insane winter ever, where you could put a house on the market today, and if it has the livability of any property and doesn't have major issues, and you've updated your utilities and the kitchen looks like every other kitchen that belongs on HGTV, you're gonna get like at least 3 to 4 offers. I have situations that I am in with clients, and we are in the depths of all of these offers. This is something that exists everywhere, and you have to be listing high for for the property you are prospecting in order to even nail it. So with that said, how the MLS works, it's going to show me not only all the active ones, but all of the what's called active options, which are technically their active properties, but they are also technically properties with contracts. So that's as deep as I'm going to go with that, because that's a whole rabbit trail. But let's go ahead and take off those active options. As you can see, we have that available. So watch this number right here in the top right corner. It's 4,771 properties. The minute I take this active option off, we go down to 3,536 properties. So that means out of the 4,771 properties that exist as an active listing, there's almost about 1,300 properties that have contracts on top of that, leaving for actually active and available properties with 0 contracts. Right now, it's about 3,500 properties, which that's insane, because in February of last year, we were at 9,000 units. And I know I say that all the time. If you're around me, you know I say that a lot, but it is what it is. And it is absolutely insane. So with that said, that kind of goes into where our market is in general and where we're at. Let's get more into detail on what's happened this past week in terms of the market and with the snow and all that good jazz. So we'll put that parameter back on. And so if we look at the past week, from the 15th through the 20th, that's going to be days on market from about 7 to, I think that's about 13. We'll do 7 to 13. 7 days on the market to 13. So the reason I use numbers like this is because this is going to show me all the properties that are available within that range. So these are all the properties that have been on the market for at least 7 days, but no more than 13, showing that these are all the properties that are available within that parameter of time in that day. Actually, is that actually true? I don't think that's necessarily true. No, I have to review that again. That actually doesn't make sense. So it actually would be, wait, hold on. No, I'm wrong. It's going to be from about 7 days to about, I think it's going to be 6 days. So, because me doing what I'm doing right now, the 13 is going to be showing us properties up to here. And I'd prefer to show y'all the mistake that I had there than to try to cut this out. So this will be a part of the video. But let's go ahead and adjust that. So it's going to be from 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. 6 to 2 days. Or 7 to 2 days. That's going to be where we're going to show. Oh, I have to switch that up. 2 to 7. There we go. Okay, this is more accurate. I thought that was really weird that 500 properties were on the market through a snowstorm, but this seems more accurate. These are all properties that went on the market this past week. So 5 days ago, somebody put this property on the market, and that is actually really cool. Look, they actually took photos with the snow. That's kind of cool. So this agent actually went out there, or the photographer went out there to go take pictures with the snow. I think that's pretty neat. It's unique and it's new. That's pretty freaking rad. Anyways, sorry, I got distracted. But these are the amount of properties that went on the market in this past 181 days. We can use the week after that as a benchmark to see what the difference was. So now we'll actually use that 7 to 13, because then we'll be using the properties that went on the market day 7 all the way up to day 13. Well, actually, we'll just do the same amount of days. So it'll be from 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it'll be 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So it'll be 7 to 12 instead now. So now we're looking at the past week, the past 5 days after or before the snowstorm. So 7 to 12. Please be following me. I know this is a lot of information, but it'll all make sense in a second. So now this is the 5 days before everything kind of was intense in terms of snow and ice and storms and stuff like that. This was that Sunday beforehand and 5 days after that. So as you can see, there's about 507 properties that went on the market. So you can literally see the difference between, 1 5 days to the other 5 days. that we have about 507 properties going on the market in that week before, and then then us going back to the other week, to the week of the snowstorm, we have 181. So as you can see, of course, when you don't have transportation, the ability to go look at properties, you can't really do too much business. Now let's go ahead and talk about what went under contract in this past time. So 2 to 7 days shows us the properties that have been put on the market in that time frame of the snowstorm. If we take off this active option, it's going to show us all the properties that have received contracts. We would have to do the difference between the number up here that we have in 181, and of course what the decrease in number is once we go ahead and change this parameter. But now we're going to see that we went from 181 to 158. So that means in those 5 days, it went from 181 to 158. So that's close to about 23-ish properties. So then those snowstorm times, we had 23 properties that went under contract. I think that's fantastic, and I think it would have been a very opportune time to find a property during the snowstorm if you had the ability to be fortunate and have electricity, because I know a lot of people here didn't have electricity or water or power, but if you had the opportunity and everything fell into place, I mean, you could be putting in an offer and potentially go under contract while everyone's stuck in a snowstorm. But as you can see, there was a couple of properties that went under contract in those 5 days. We had about 20 properties go under contract, and then we can also even see through closings. So this will be the last part, and then I'll wrap up this video because this is a lot of information I'm giving you. Let's talk about closing dates. If we use the closing dates from the 15th all the way up to let's do the 20th. So from this time frame here, we have to erase this. Days on market. Something happened here. That's not. Oh, I know why. Didn't put solds, and we will get rid of all the actives. And so, boom, here we go. This is a list of all the properties that sold from the 15th of February on that Monday to that Tuesday. So, somehow, some way, 60 properties found its way to close in that week. And granted, this doesn't mean that they had the closing on that day. As you can see, this was closed on the 19th, contract dates on the 16th, off market date on the 16th. So this lists property on the 12th. So this is a little bit of a weird situation that I just happened to land on. This may have been a cash deal. This may have been a really weird circumstance. If I go ahead and select this property here, as you can see, the contract was 1/11/21. I think I just read that wrong, maybe. I don't know. But the contract here is on 1/11. Close date was 2/16. And off market was 1/11, same as the contract date. So this looks like they closed on that date. So it's possible they may have tried to figure something out, which I think that's still crazy to think that you found a way to close a property, which I think is pretty cool, honestly. I'm not gonna lie. I think that's absolutely insane for that to be done. They may have done a notary. They may have done maybe a Zoom closing. I don't think that that's even something that we've gotten to the point where we have done, but there's a lot of options in terms of how that could have possibly have been dealt with. But nevertheless, as you can see, 60 properties. I mean, this rounding up, it's one, so it's 59. 59 properties found a way to close on a house or close in a contract in those days that we had a snowstorm. So, but at the end of the day, if we looked at the next week, we went from the 8th to the 12th. That was we were at 60 to 400, 500 properties that closed. So as you can see, the snow did a drastic move with everything real estate, and even now, like, we're still even active as ever when it comes to the market, and it being February. So this was my rundown. There was nothing any more crazier than this. This is going to be all that I'm talking about today. So I appreciate anyone who's tuned in. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please let me know. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, like the video, maybe even comment something about what you thought about the numbers. Maybe if there's something that you would like to know about San Antonio real estate, or any questions that you just have in general about real estate. Even if you don't live in San Antonio, that's okay. I want to help you. So let's move into this together, and I will see y'all next time. Y'all have a blessed one.